Long before movie ratings existed, Hollywood was pushing boundaries in ways that shocked audiences and terrified censors. Today we're exploring 15 films so controversial they were pulled from theaters, banned across entire regions, or hidden away for decades. These movies reveal a fascinating chapter in cinema history you never knew existed. 1. Freaks, 1932. Todd Browning's Carnival masterpiece stands as one of cinema's most misunderstood films. This haunting tale featured real circus performers with physical differences, creating something Hollywood had never seen before. British censors refused to allow it for 31 years, calling it exploitative, while American theaters demanded heavy cuts before screening. What makes Freaks truly remarkable is how it challenged society's narrow definitions of normalcy. Browning, who grew up around carnivals, crafted a story where the so-called normal people become the real monsters. The film's famous climax, where the carnival performers seek justice, remains one of cinema's most unforgettable sequences. Despite initial rejection, Freaks eventually found recognition as a groundbreaking work of art that dared to show humanity in all its forms. Modern audiences appreciate its progressive message about acceptance and the dangers of judging others by appearance alone. 2. Island of Lost Souls, 1932. This chilling adaptation of H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau terrified audiences with its tale of a mad scientist transforming animals into human-like creatures. The film's disturbing imagery and themes about the boundaries between human and animal nature got it banned across multiple countries, including the UK, Germany, and India. Charles Laughton's unforgettable performance as the megalomaniacal Dr. Moreau created one of cinema's most memorable villains. His laboratory scenes, showing the horrific experiments, pushed the limits of what audiences could stomach. The film's exploration of evolution and creation challenged religious sensibilities of the era. What made this movie particularly unsettling was its suggestion that the line between civilization and savagery might be thinner than people wanted to believe. The transformed creatures' struggle with their dual nature raised uncomfortable questions about humanity itself that censors found too provocative for general audiences. 3. The Sign of the Cross, 1932. Cecil B. DeMille's epic about early Christians in Rome became notorious for its lavish displays of decadence and violence. The film featured elaborate scenes of Roman excess, including a controversial sequence involving milk and nudity, plus a dance sequence that scandalized audiences nationwide. The movie's arena scenes, showing Christians facing lions and gladiators, were so graphic that local censors demanded cuts across America. A particularly infamous sequence called The Dance of the Naked Moon was considered so inappropriate that theaters had to reshoot entire sections for later releases. Despite the controversy, The Sign of the Cross showcased DeMille's spectacular filmmaking abilities. The massive sets, elaborate costumes, and cast of thousands created a biblical epic that influenced Hollywood productions for decades. The film's blend of religious themes with Roman decadence walked a tightrope that ultimately proved too daring for its time. 4. Scarface, 1932. Howard Hawks' gangster epic faced unprecedented opposition from censors who feared it would glorify criminal behavior. The film's brutal portrayal of Chicago mob violence and its charismatic anti-hero proved so controversial that studios were forced to delay release, reshoot scenes, and create multiple endings to satisfy different regional censors. What made Scarface particularly threatening to authorities was how it presented Tony Camonte as simultaneously repulsive and fascinating. Paul Mooney's magnetic performance made the ruthless gangster compelling despite his violent nature, which worried censors who thought audiences might sympathize with criminals. The film's influence on cinema cannot be overstated. Its innovative camera work, rapid-fire dialogue, and unflinching look at organized crime established templates that filmmakers still follow today. The controversy surrounding its release ironically helped establish Scarface as one of the greatest crime films ever made, inspiring countless imitators and homages. 5. Ecstasy, 1933. This Czech film, starring a young Hedy Lamarr, broke cinematic taboos with unprecedented frankness about human relationships and desire. American customs officials literally seized copies at the border, while several states banned it entirely, making it nearly impossible for American audiences to see. The film's controversial reputation centered on Lamar's natural swimming scene and emotionally intense moments that suggested adult relationships in ways never before shown on screen. These sequences, though artistic, challenged every convention about what movies could depict. Ecstasy represented European cinema's willingness to explore mature themes with sophistication that American films couldn't match. The international incident it created highlighted the cultural differences between American and European attitudes toward artistic expression. Lamar later became a major Hollywood star, but this early film remained largely unseen in America for decades. 6. The Story of Temple Drake, 1933. Adapted from William Faulkner's controversial novel, Sanctuary, this film tackled themes of violence and victimization that proved too intense for Depression-era audiences. The story's dark exploration of human nature and justice prompted several states to ban it outright, while others demanded significant cuts. Miriam Hopkins delivered a powerful performance as the title character, bringing Faulkner's complex protagonist to life with remarkable authenticity. The film's unflinching examination of difficult subject matter showcased Hollywood's occasional willingness to tackle serious literary works, despite potential backlash. The controversy surrounding Temple Drake contributed to stricter enforcement of Hollywood's moral guidelines. Censors used the film as an example of content that went too far, helping establish boundaries that would govern American cinema for decades. This makes it a crucial film for understanding how censorship shaped Hollywood's golden age. 7. Babyface, 1933. Barbara Stanwyck's powerhouse performance as a woman, using her charm to climb the corporate ladder, created one of pre-code Hollywood's most memorable characters. Warner Brothers was forced to reshoot the ending to make it more morally acceptable, then pulled the film from distribution entirely just weeks after its release. The film's frank depiction of a woman taking control of her destiny through relationships with powerful men challenged traditional gender roles in ways that made censors deeply uncomfortable. Stanwyck's character refused to be a victim, instead becoming a master manipulator who turned societal expectations to her advantage. Babyface represents the brief period when Hollywood films could explore complex moral territories without clear-cut heroes and villains. The film's sophisticated approach to power dynamics and ambition created a character study that was decades ahead of its time, making it essential viewing for understanding pre-code cinema's remarkable boldness. 8. Tarzan and His Mate, 1934. This sequel to the popular Tarzan series featured a swimming sequence with Maureen O'Sullivan that became legendary for all the wrong reasons. MGM was forced to remove the controversial scene, and it remained cut from prints for decades, becoming one of cinema's most famous cases of studio self-censorship. The film represented the end of an era when adventure movies could include more mature content without extensive oversight. The swimming sequence, while brief, violated emerging standards about what could be shown on screen, marking a turning point in Hollywood's approach to content regulation. Beyond the controversy, Tarzan and His Mate offered spectacular jungle adventure with impressive stunt work and exotic locations. The film's production values and Johnny Weissmuller's iconic performance helped establish the template for action adventure. Cinema that continues influencing filmmakers today. 9. Reefer Madness, 1936. Originally created as an educational film warning about marijuana's supposed dangers, this movie became notorious when exploitation filmmaker Dwayne Esper recut it for sensationalized roadshow presentations. The film's over-the-top portrayal of marijuana's effects made it unintentionally hilarious, leading to midnight screenings that attracted audiences seeking entertainment rather than education. The movie's wildly exaggerated depiction of young people's behavior under the influence created a cultural phenomenon that outlasted its original purpose. What began as serious propaganda became camp entertainment, demonstrating how audience attitudes could completely transform a film's meaning and impact. Reefer Madness eventually became a cult classic precisely because of its earnest absurdity. The film's second life, as midnight movie entertainment, showed how controversial content could find new audiences through alternative distribution methods, paving the way for future cult films and midnight movie culture. 10. Marijuana, 1936. Another Dwayne Esper exploitation film about the supposed dangers of marijuana use. This movie toured the country with live lecturers because mainstream theaters refused to book it. The film's sensationalized approach to its subject matter made it too controversial for regular distribution, forcing it into the underground grindhouse circuit. The movie's touring presentation style, complete with medical experts and educational lectures, created a unique form of entertainment that blended cinema with live performance. This approach allowed the film to reach audiences despite widespread censorship and distributor reluctance. Marijuana represents the exploitation film industry's ability to find audiences for controversial content through innovative distribution methods. The film's impact extended beyond entertainment, contributing to public discourse about social issues in ways that mainstream Hollywood films couldn't match due to censorship restrictions. 11. The Outlaw, 1943. Howard Hughes created a publicity sensation with this Western starring Jane Russell, using controversial advertising campaigns that focused on the leading lady's physical attributes. The Production Code Administration refused to grant its seal of approval, forcing Hughes to release the film through limited runs that generated enormous public interest through scandal. The film's marketing campaign became as famous as the movie itself, with Hughes deliberately courting controversy to generate publicity. This calculated approach to scandal marketing established techniques that Hollywood would continue using for decades, proving that controversy could be profitable. Despite the publicity focus, Jane Russell delivered a strong performance that launched her career, while the film itself offered solid Western entertainment. The controversy overshadowed the movie's actual merits, demonstrating how censorship battles could completely reshape public perception of artistic works. 12. Mom and Dad, 1945. Kroger Babb's educational film about family planning and health education used segregated screenings and medical presentations to address topics that mainstream cinema couldn't touch. The Legion of Decency condemned it, yet it became a surprising roadshow success, proving that audiences hungry for frank discussion about important topics. The film's unique presentation style, with separate showings for men and women, created an educational experience unlike anything in regular theaters. This approach allowed the film to address sensitive health topics while maintaining the appearance of medical respectability rather than entertainment. Mom and Dad demonstrated that controversial content could find substantial audiences when presented as education rather than entertainment. The film's success influenced later filmmakers and distributors who sought ways to address mature themes while navigating censorship restrictions through creative marketing and presentation strategies. 13. Song of the South, 1946. Disney's blend of live action and animation depicting plantation life became increasingly controversial as civil rights awareness grew. The studio quietly removed it from circulation after protests about its romanticized portrayal of the antebellum South. And Disney has never released it on home video in America. The film's technical achievements in combining animation with live action were groundbreaking, influencing Disney's later productions. However, its depiction of historical events proved problematic as social understanding evolved, creating an uncomfortable legacy for the studio. Song of the South represents how changing social consciousness can completely alter a film's reception and cultural meaning. What Disney intended as family entertainment became a symbol of outdated attitudes, demonstrating cinema's power to reflect and sometimes perpetuate social problems. 14. Lost Boundaries, 1949. This true story about a black family passing as white in a New England community was banned in Atlanta and Memphis for supposedly threatening public morals. The film's frank examination of racial identity and prejudice proved too challenging for audiences in certain regions during the post-war period. The movie's realistic approach to complex racial issues marked it as significantly ahead of its time. By focusing on an educated middle-class family rather than stereotypical portrayals, the film challenged audience assumptions about racial identity and social boundaries in ways that proved deeply unsettling to some viewers. Lost Boundaries demonstrated Hollywood's occasional willingness to tackle serious social issues despite potential backlash. The film's regional bans highlighted the deep divisions in American society while proving that cinema could serve as a powerful force for social commentary and change. 15. The Moon is Blue, 1953. Otto Preminger's sophisticated comedy became a landmark case when he chose to release it without production code approval, rather than remove a single word that censors found objectionable. Some states would only allow late-night screenings, treating this sophisticated comedy like an underground film. The controversy centered on frank dialogue about relationships and morality that, while tame by today's standards, challenged the strict language guidelines of 1950s cinema. Preminger's refusal to compromise established him as a filmmaker willing to fight for artistic freedom. The film's success, despite censorship problems, helped weaken the production code's authority and paved the way for more mature content in mainstream Hollywood films. The Moon is Blue represents a crucial turning point in the battle between filmmakers and censors that ultimately transformed American cinema. These 15 films remind us that cinema's greatest power lies in its ability to challenge, provoke, and inspire conversation. They represent Hollywood's ongoing struggle between artistic expression and social expectations. Which of these controversial classics surprised you most? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more fascinating cinema history.